like a lot of people who know you know that you have like long history in skating. You know a lot of the OGs. You have these stories from like 2002 when you were in California.
Yeah.
And so like how did you you've obviously been around and doing this for a very long time. How did you get started? How'd you get into it? What year was it? And then the path on.
I don't know. I do know, but I was going to say something. I don't know which podcast I listened from you guys that someone was saying that when people say they started skating, that person was only referring to inline skating and not to quad skating. I don't know who was it.
Because a couple of people like Miguel started on quads.
But that was I don't know if it was Kyle or something like that. They were saying I started skating before.
The Kelsos, I could see.
Yeah, well, maybe I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
The thing is like, what I started skating when I was 2.5 years old because my sister, which is 4
You started skating at 2.5 years old.
Yeah, because I'm from a small town where the skating culture is quite big, or it used to be. And my sister, which is 4 years older than me, she wanted to start figure skating. So she had some skates, just like every other kid back then. We're talking about like the early 80s. And she wanted new skates, so my parents just gave me those skates. Just when she was going to those figure skating trainings, my parents just put the skates on me and that just left me there. Mm-hmm. And when they look at me, I was just like holding the walls and trying to walk with those things, which I tried to do with my daughter, and she doesn't want to do it, and she's the same age now. Anyway, so I give up. No. She doesn't want to do it, so
yeah.
But anyway, so I started doing it like that, and then when I was 5, and I never really stopped it. When I was 5, I remember that I told my mom that I wanted to start playing hockey because it's roller hockey with quads.
I've never seen that.
Yeah, Portugal is the world champion. But it's like
probably the only people who play it. That's
no. It's actually quite big.
Oh, I've never seen that before.
It's quite big. Like South America has like quite a couple of teams. Like Argentina is like a really good team. Italy, Spain, France. There's like it's quite big.
I've never seen that.
It's an Olympic sport.
What?
Yeah, it's probably the only skating. No, there's other than figure skating.
Yeah.
Roller skating. It's also roller skating figure roller skating is also an Olympic sport, I think, if I'm not mistaken. But I know that roller hockey, it's an Olympic sport. So, let me see if I don't. Okay, so basically, when I was 5, I wanted to start playing hockey, but my mom was like, "Yeah, but if you play hockey, you can only start playing real games when you're 10, so you're gonna be just going around with the stick for like 5 years. So why don't you go to this thing, which is you can just run around the track and they make races and whatever." It was speed skating. So I started speed skating when I was 5, and I got really into it. I never really stopped, and I started like winning a lot of things back then. That I don't know. There was a lot of people doing it, but it was on roller skates, and I did it for a long time. When I was 13, that's when there was a lot more people started using inline skates than quads, and the people using inline skates started doing a lot better results. So that was the time that I made the transition from inline skates from roller skates to inline
specifically
skates.
For speed skating though?
For speed skating,
yeah, way faster than quads.
But you know, the fun part about it was like back then when I wasn't training, and I used to train every day because I was like an athlete even at 13. When I wasn't skating, I used to just be like the kamikaze of the neighborhood, like with the skateboard. I never had like a good skateboard, so they used to build ramps, and I used to go out with them and just steal wood to build ramps. And because I didn't have a good skate, I had like a little front banana truck. We call banana like the short board, like a penny board truck in the front, like a regular truck. I didn't have like good trucks. So I used to just be the first one to go and just try to jump the ramps that they would do, like the launch ramps and stuff like that.
Just roast it, no air.
Without ever thinking that I could be using skates to do it. And back then I was already good with skates.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
So when I made the transition from roller skates to inline skates, I started seeing people using inline skates on ramps. I was like, how did I never thought about that? Because like,
what year was that?
It was 92, 93, about 93. So that's when I started thinking, like, I gotta try this. So at the same time that I started speed skating, I also like started putting money on the side. I remember the way that I made money for my first skates. My mom used to give me like, back then was 100 escudos, which is like 50 cents per day, or 50 cents of a euro. And I used to put like, if I used to put every single day that money on the side, I would make about 15 euros by the end of the month. So I like for 4 months I put some money, and then my mom gave me a little bit more, and I bought some Rossi Street, and that was actually my first pair of aggressive inline skates.
So took you a while to get there then.
Yeah, it was like, and then like I don't remember exactly what month was it, but like my birthday is November, so they gave me like whatever, like 50 euros. Back then it was in that coin, like in Skudish. So they gave me some like 50 euros, and then with Christmas they give me a little bit more. So I got the money to buy the skates. I remember that I bought the skates. I went to the shop and I paid for the skates, but the skates were only going to be available like 2 months later. So it was like the worst. Like it was the worst 2 months of my life waiting. I was already using inline skates. So back
I hate paying for something and not
getting it right away.
But you know what I was doing? I learned how to roll downstairs. I learned how to do 360s because I never did it before on speed inline skates, like a low boot with 5 wheels. And most of the guys on my speed skating team, they didn't even have the inline skates yet because they were very expensive.
So what were they speed skating on?
And still on quads.
On quads.
And me with like the new inline skates, I was already like jumping
wheels,
and like
you were blasting by
leaving
them
him in the
and
dust.
breaking like I had to hide it from my father because like he paid me for the whole skate. Like the skates costed like around 800 euros. If you translate it to the money now, that's like $1,000, something like that.
Damn.
Back then, we're talking about like 93, so there's a lot of money.
Yeah.
So, but I couldn't stop myself. So when I got my Rosy Street back then I started skating, and in 2 months I broke the frame because I started learning how to front flip. And you know, when you try to front flip on those first skates, if you hit the back wheel, it broke.
Yeah. You were front flipping already?
It's just it was whatever I used to see, I wanted to try it.
It's like grommet stuff though.
Yeah, it's like
like, you know, grommy fronts.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and when you see it, it's one of those. I think I can do this. I've done it on trampoline. I've done it whatever.
Yeah.
I got it on skates.
Yeah, you don't think in depth technically with skating, especially at that
when
time.
when you're younger too.
It's like 360, front flip, back flip.
Yeah, exactly.
Mute, you know.
So basically what happened was like I broke my skates, and then I didn't have money to buy other skates. I went back and got my quads that I wasn't skating anymore, and I started using the old quads that I was using for speed skating to start going to ramps. So I didn't have the money for my second inline skate. So I remember like in I don't want to sound like a smart ass or whatever, like in 94, 95, that's when I first started seeing 94 maybe. I started seeing first people doing Royales and Unities, and I didn't have the skates for it. So I first learned the Royale and the Unity on quads.
What?
Quads?
Yeah, because
how's that possible on those?
Because they have like the ones that I used to use, they are like a metal plate. There was no ground box, but there's a metal plate, and the boot used to be like a soccer boot that we used to.
It's soft, isn't it?
No, it's nowadays it's soft, but back then it was like hard plastic, and it had those spikes, not really spikes, like a plastic spike that we used to shave it. So it was like a hard, like almost like a saw plate with the metal plate, creating like a little angle. So to do Royale, you wouldn't need to lean, you just a little bit. So back then I could Unity, I could Royale, and then I got inline skates again. I never played with roller skates anymore.
Jeez.
Until like
because you were like, yo, now I'm sliding for real.
Yeah, now I got like the proper shit. It was like some K2 phase or whatever, which broke like.
That's probably
K2 phase.
That's probably such a transition, doing like Royales and Unities and quads to like getting some K2 fatties and being like, wait, what?
Yeah, it's a big difference.
Having
the right tool for the job.
Yeah.
The biggest difference was the hardest part with all these was that I became like, I don't know how to say it. I don't know the right words for it, but it's something like I was representing Portugal as a speed skater. I was part of the Portuguese speed skating team. When I was 15, I was part of the main team, like competing with like, I remember I used to go to the European Championships, and I couldn't go to the after party because I wasn't old enough, stuff like that. So I was really training into it, and I had a coach, and my coach, I had to hide that I was going to the ramps. With my
why didn't they want you going?
Because I was
supposed to get hurt.
I was training.
These guys are the Portuguese team.
I know they didn't want you to get hurt.
I was training 3 times per day. Some days I had to go like a part of the train on skates, or
it's like the Mighty Ducks of speed skating.
But it's
that's crazy.
It's the thing that made me hate it. I started
the training. Right?
I started hating speed skating, and not because it's not a cool thing, whatever. Because nowadays I just put my skates on and I do it,
right?
Do marathons and stuff. But it's just like because it became like an obligation.
Yeah.
So
the coaching, the stress,
and I couldn't do what I was really enjoying.
No freedom, right? It didn't seem like much freedom.
I gave up. I remember I trained a full summer 3 times per day, almost every day for the whole summer. And when the end of the summer came, like they made like a little last train with the Portuguese team, and they said like, we're not gonna take to the World Championships in Argentina because you're very young. You still have time to go there. And
How old were you?
I was like 15.
Dang.
No, 16. Sorry, this time I was 16. And by this time I was 16. And they said you're still very young. And I did better results than most of the guys of the speed skating team. But they said you'll have time to do it. And if you're gonna do this, you might probably lose your school for the year. You might need to repeat the full year and all that. But for me, that was like the end. And that was the last time that I speed skated. It's just like I wasn't feeling it, and then that thing was like, nah.
Too many rules.
They took your
They
took your Argentinian trip from you, man. That sucks.
Yeah, I still never been to Argentina.
See,
but the best thing with that was that after that, I focused on like street skating.
Yeah.
So when I mean focus is like no one telling me you can't do it. I started doing it more often. That was it.
That's what's so good about it, though. There's no one push. Like, you go at your own pace. You want to do something, do it. You don't want to do it, don't do it.
Yeah, it was cool. And at the same time, it was cool because I also got my parents to support me in that, because they used to be kind of like a little bit against it, against the street skating stuff, because I had competition and I had good results and all that.
Yeah.
They were never like that. Like, they were always super supportive. But once I like decided to do something, like, this is what I love to do. It's not about competing or anything, but this is what I love to do. They started supporting me a lot, and since then, that's
great.
the only reason why I'm here.
That's awesome.
Were you saying before that your parents skated too, or you come from like...
No, my sister.
Your sister? Oh, just your sister. Okay.
Yes,
I thought it was like had to do with your parents.
Yeah, no, but I come from a town where there's like a lot of culture in skating. Basically, we have a lot of people doing hockey skating. We used to have like a really good speed skating team, figure skaters. And there's still people doing it nowadays. But it's very different, and I see a lot of different things, a lot of things that I would love to be different nowadays. But that's something that we can talk about.